another edition of Coastline, and we're talking air show this month. Yes, it's time once again for the biannual air show that's coming to the Marine Corps Air Station here, and we are so excited because we've got a couple of representatives from the air station that are going to be telling us all about it, as well as what's happening with the F-35 project, as well as other programs that are on the air station. I'm joined by Lieutenant Kevin Buss, who is with the Comstrat, or also known as the Public Affairs Office at the Marine Corps Air Station, and Captain Frank Zastapil, who is a pilot of an F-35. Very exciting job, I'm sure. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us on set today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Well, of course, we're all excited. You know, you guys do an amazing job every couple of years bringing in the Blue Angels, as well as all of the accompanying activities, and we're anxiously awaiting that. It's going to be the weekend of April 26th and 27th, is that correct?
April 27th and 28th.
Okay, all right. And we always know a couple of days in advance because the Blue Angels are always gracious enough to do some practice runs around the town. I probably know better advertising locally than that.
Yes, sir.
I guess the thing we really need to probably kick off with is who are and what is the history of the Blue Angels?
So the Blue Angels are a Navy flight demonstration team. They come to various air shows, and this year, thankfully, they're coming to ours. But it'll be the Blue Angels, as well as the F-22 Raptor demonstration, which is an Air Force plane, as well as the SOCOM Paracommandos, which is a parachute team, and then the F-35 Bravo demonstration, which is done by Chomps over here. But yeah, April 27th, 28th, it's going to be a good show. Blue Angels are coming in, so we're looking forward to it.
All right, yeah, we'll talk a little bit about those Blue Angels in a minute. He called you Chomps. All you guys have little special nicknames. How did you get yours?
Sir, I got big teeth. I always smile, and everybody just notices my big old teeth I got here.
All right.
Big old chompers.
Good deal. And you have an amazing gift in the ability to fly one of these ginormous planes, and tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are and what all you do.
Sure. Yeah, ginormous is kind of the opposite of the F-35. We're actually a pretty small fighter aircraft. But my history, I joined the Marine Corps and went through the basic school, just like Kevin over here. I started flying in Kingsville, Texas, the jets, and then went up to North Carolina and flew the Harrier for 3.5 years. Did a couple deployments with the Harrier, and then got selected to transition to the F-35. Been as an F-35 pilot the last 2 years, and been so lucky enough to stay here as an instructor at VMFAT 501, our locals training squadron for F-35s, and absolutely love it. It's a great opportunity to be here in the Low Country, and the community has been very, very receptive to us flying around making all that noise.
Yeah. Were you chosen for the F-35 because of your Harrier experience, which I guess is the what do they call it? Horizontal landing?
So Harrier, yeah, it's called VSTOL, so vertical short
vertical landing. Yeah.
And then we modified that for the F-35 to STOVL, which is short takeoff vertical landing. So I would prefer to say I was lucky and I was in the right place in the right time to be able to make that transition over.
It's got to be incredible an incredible learning experience to get into one of these planes and to have all this equipment, and I mean, what kind of studying do you have to do to become an F-35 pilot, or a pilot in general, much less to teach this to others?
Yes, sir. So a legacy platform such as the Harrier or the Hornet that we also have here in Beaufort is very flying the airplane a lot more. So you're studying how to fly the airplane, plus all the sensors and communication systems that we have in the jets. Moving into the F-35, you're studying much more of the tactical and sensor regime. So the flying aspect is designed to be a little easier so that we can concentrate on being that weapons operator, kind of the quarterback in the sky, the role that we're trying to get to. For the studying aspect, I mean, you're putting in hours a day of studying. Each flight evolution, you're going to brief 2 hours prior for a 1 hour flight, and then you're going to come back and spend probably 2 to 2.5 hours debriefing that 1 hour flight. So 4.5-ish hours per 1 hour of flight is typically what we're putting in just for that actual flight event, not including the studying going up to each one. So there's typically like a 2-to-1 ratio of study hours into the flight prep. Yeah, it's a lot of time in the back room there with the old books, busting out those pubs.
I know one of the things that had been a mark of the F-35 is there had been some technical glitches that they were trying to work through, and there was a time when the use of the F-35 was put on hold and all future orders were put on hold. Is that all behind us now?
So, I mean, we're obviously moving forward in the F-35 program. It's something to do with being able to use the aircraft operationally and in testing at the same time. So that kind of collateral development of this program is something that we haven't done with anything else. And the fact that we are able to do it with the F-35, with our safety rate being at what it is incredible. It's a feat that, thanks to the Marine Corps and all the companies that have gone in to put this plane together, I'd say the safety factor is incredible for this airplane, something that's never been seen before.
And you're still practicing regularly, and
absolutely, sir. Flying pretty much 3 times a week.
Just had a squadron return, and is that my understanding? You
out in Yuma, Arizona? Yes, sir. Yep, VMA 211. Just got back from our first combat deployment.
All right, and the plans are to continue growing the presence here in Beaufort, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're going to stand up another squadron, another training squadron here within the next year or two, and then multiple deploying squadrons after that.
Mm-hmm. One of the concerns that the community at large has had is the increased noise associated with the F-35 vice the F-18 Hornet. Have you all done anything to try and address that issue?
Thank you for the noise and allowing us to make the noise.
Right, yeah.
So
well, I'll tell you, I love the noise. I live over in Pleasant Point, so I'm right across the waterway from you guys, and it's a treat to just look up and see those guys. You know, I could almost, throw a rock at you, but I'd be worried you'd, retaliate.
Exactly.
But I don't mind it, but some people do.
So we do try to mitigate the noise in a couple different areas. Our pattern altitude's a little higher here to kind of reduce the noise when we come back to Beaufort. Our getting to and from the airspace, we're utilizing some of the rivers a lot more, and just varying our altitudes associated with that noise level coming in. But basically what it's come down to is the community allowing us to make all that noise, whether it's on purpose or not. We're a training squadron. We have students up in the air every single day. We have pilots that haven't flown this jet ever before getting up there, and there's bound to be the associated noise. So it's just basically us saying thank you to the community.
Sure, and of course, as the sign says out in front of the air station, the sound you hear is the noise of freedom.
Absolutely. Yes,
That's
sir.
Right, or the noise you hear is the sound of freedom. That's right,
yes,
excellent. So, well, we are excited about having you guys in the community, regardless of any other problems that, have been identified in the past. I have personally sensed that there's a real goal to try and mitigate that noise, and we are grateful to have the air station. I know, having been here on this go-around since 1992, we were as a community so worried for a couple of times about the Congressional Base Realignment and Closure Commissions that had been established in Air Station Beaufort, the potential of Naval Hospital Beaufort. All of those were up on the table, and there was a real panic within the community about not only losing the good rapport that we've got with the personnel like yourselves, but the impact that it would have economically. As far as you know, everything is cool these days. Nobody's talking about closures or anything.
No, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Good, good, and we'd love to keep you guys here for a good long time. So, still back on the F-35, it must be an amazing opportunity to be in there, and tell us, without getting into any trade secrets there, what is it like to, get in the cockpit and to just, whoosh off and, go to the sea or go to a bombing range, or take advantage of all of the bells and whistles that are a part of the F-35.
No, absolutely, sir. It's something that some people call it the zone, some people call it the flow. It depends on which podcast you actually listen to see that. But once you get airborne, it's just a sense of you're performing at a very, very high level, and you get into it. The concentration that it takes, you kind of just put everything else out of your mind, all the administrative work at home, back on the ground, and once you're in the air, the only thing you're concentrating on is just performing that mission that's in front of you. So in that sense, it's very freeing once that canopy closes and you actually take off from the ground. What we get to do, though, is something that no other plane can do in the world, and that's something that we are by far the most dynamic fighter aircraft in existence in the world today. And so we get to, going in, that's what we're going to try to do in the air show, is demonstrate all these different facets of the aircraft that we have and show that, hey, we can do maneuvers that everything across the Department of Defense can do and more, just based on the unique design capabilities that the Marine Corps has invested in this aircraft.
We've got a couple of minutes left in this segment. Tell me a little bit about some of those maneuvers that are unique to the F-35.
Oh, absolutely, sir. So we're going to take something like the Harrier, something that I used to fly, and we're going to do a takeoff very, very similar to them, which is going to demonstrate our ability to come take off from a ship. So we're going to do that at the field, so everyone in the crowd can see our takeoff in a very, very short amount of distance across the ground. We're going to go and do some over-the-top maneuvers, such as a square loop, where we're actually going to turn the jet and make it look like a square through the sky. We're going to come back around for a very slow speed pass at one point in the show to show that, hey, at 100 knots across the ground, where you can literally just take picture after picture after picture, because we're going to be in front of you for a minute, basically, at such a slow speed and high angle of attack. And then we show the raw power of the engine by climbing out vertically from that. So something that an aircraft, another fighter aircraft, might not be able to do in that situation. Then we're going to come back around and do something that the F-22 guy is going to do as well, but we call it the pedal turn, when we go up over the top, and it kind of looks like a flat spin from the ground. And then something that absolutely no other aircraft can do is we're going to come out of that straight into a hover in front of the audience. So we're going to take off like a Harrier. We're going to do fighter maneuvers in the middle. We're going to come back and land and display our hover before we actually land back in a rolling vertical landing is what we're going to call it. And it's going to be by far the most dynamic demonstration of fighter aircraft in the world at this time.
It almost sounds more exciting than the Blue Angels.
He knows what he's talking about, because he's going to be the one flying on the air show day, so come out and see him.
All right. Well,
please, sir.
Definitely do that. Definitely do that. All right. Well, we're going to come back and talk about specifically the air show, some of the exciting things that are going to be there, as well as the static shows and the different options for general admission versus being wined and dined as at the top end of things. So stay with us, and we'll be talking more about the upcoming Beaufort Marine Corps Air Station air show that's going to be here the weekend of April 27th and 28th. You won't want to miss it. Set with Captain Frank Zastapil and Kevin Buss, who's a lieutenant at the Marine Corps Air Station. He is with the Marine Corps' Public Affairs Office, also now called Comstrat, and Captain Zastapil is an F-35 pilot with whom we were speaking before the break, who is telling us a little bit about the exciting experience of being a pilot. And you have brought with you a nice video for us to share with our viewers. We're going to be seeing some demonstrations of the F-35, and look closely. If you look close enough, you'll see Captain Zastapil in one of these planes.
Growing up, I never got on a plane. I didn't ride on my first plane until I was a junior in high school. And I just fell in love with being in the air. And I just fell in love with flying. I fell in love with actually having the controls of that plane. And then what did I want to do? I wanted to fly jets for the Marine Corps. Like, what's cooler than flying jets for the Marine Corps, right? You get to fly from ships. You get to come back and land. You get to have fields or at a ship. You get to fly the most technologically advanced aircraft in the world, like the F-35. Now I'm an F-35 pilot, and the capabilities that this thing brings is bar none to anything else out there. So for that, I'm extremely grateful. But after years of hard work, I think that the F-35 is where it's at for becoming a tactical aviator. So last year's air show and the previous year's air show, it's been a very flat air show, so remaining close to the ground and just kind of doing circles across the ground at a reduced envelope of the aircraft's capabilities. At this air show, we're actually opening the envelope a little bit more to show the world what this jet can actually perform to. So what you're going to see this year is you're going to see the jet taking off like a Harrier in a very short distance across the runway using a minimal power setting, and then throwing the power in the corner and just taking off in literally hundreds of feet after that. It's going to come back around and do a maximum rate turn across the deck, just like a Viper would do, an F-16 would do. I'll come back around from that, we're going to do a square loop just like the Hornet can do. We're going to do a move over the top like the F-22 Raptor can do. We're going to do a hover like the Harrier can do, while doing a 360 to show that, hey, not only can we hover, and we can hover for a long time, but we can actually move that hover across the ground and straight into a landing forward. So we're kind of combining the aspects of multiple fighter aircraft across the Department of Defense into one jet, and showing that not only can this jet do it, but we can approach the sound barrier for this show in Beaufort this year. We're going to hover like a Harrier, and we're going to make moves like a standard fighter aircraft, all in one 14-minute evolution.
That was an amazing video, guys. I appreciate you sharing that with us. And
Absolutely.
you know, anybody who looks at that, and anybody that attends the air station's upcoming air show, that's going to be the weekend of April 27th and 28th. The air show, of course, is done as, I guess, in part to show appreciation to the community at large for having a presence here in the greater Beaufort area, but as well as to perhaps entice some of the younger folks in attendance maybe to consider becoming a pilot. And what is anybody that has that desire, what would you recommend they do in order to assure them a seat in Captain Zastafield's next class?
Well, for this year's air show, we're getting the latest and greatest aerial capability aircraft to come out. We got the Blue Angels, the F-22, Captain Zastafield will be in the F-35, as well as the MAGTAF, which is the Marine Air Ground Task Force demonstration. That basically showcases the whole bread and butter of what the Marine Corps is all about. So for the youth out there, come to these air shows and interact with the Marines. You'll get to see the Marine Corps at its finest with the MAGTAF demonstration, F-35, Marine Corps aviation at its finest, and then go from there.
All right. Well, you're an Auburn grad, right?
Yes, sir.
And Texas A&M.
Sir.
And so, what did you guys study? I guess you in particular, since you're a pilot, what did you study to prepare yourself for where you are now?
You know, sir, I studied psychology.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, psychology of all things. I know you're expecting like aeronautical engineering,
Sure, right,
or something like that, but I was a psychology major, and I'd venture to say that's one of the most useful majors you could have in any organization, just because you use psychology every single day. That motivation factor, that factor that what drives you to do better and excel in life. So that's my own personal plug for psychology majors, but you can major in anything.
Am I going to assume and be incorrect that you graduated with a degree in journalism?
Well, another one. I was a zoology major. Yeah. So the Marine Corps accepts all majors.
I guess so. I guess so.
The plan was to go to vet school, but I had to call in to come serve with the Marine Corps.
Good deal.
There I lie, so.
You guys enjoy your stay at Quantico?
Yes, sir, definitely.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, let's move on, carry on. Tough, that is a tough billet, let me tell you. I'm sure, I've heard it said many times that the Marine Corps is one of the toughest groups to be a member of, and that's why you are the elite group that you are. Aside from having the Blue Angels, which are a Navy organization, we have to give them credit, you are going to have some amazing shows. Let's start with the static displays that people are going to be able to see on the ground while they're waiting for the activity to take place in the air. Tell me about some of the static stuff.
So in addition to the Blue Angels, Fat Albert, which is their C-130, will be there for a static display. The Red Tails, several static displays will be there.
Now, Fat Albert, is that the one that it's so big that hundreds of people will be able to walk through it at one time, and the tail is open from the back in order to load up large equipment, or am I thinking of a different cargo plane?
You're along the lines of that.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
all right.
But all those static displays will be there for both days, April 27th and 28th.
And people will be able to walk through that plane and kind of see all of the, gear that's part and parcel of the plane.
I'm not entirely sure. Do you know if they go on the Fat Albert?
I don't know if they go on Fat
Yeah.
Albert, but I
Okay.
do know Fat Albert is a Blue Angel plane, and it's going to showcase exactly what they're
All
going to
right.
be.
I know in years past they've had the opportunity, so hopefully they'll do that again this year. And what were the other? What was the red one?
I was going to say the full list of all the static displays can be found at BufordAirShow.com.
Okay, good. Yeah.
And all the performers can be found on there as well.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, now, as I said prior to the break, the Air Station's air show is free to the general public. If you want to just kind of walk through the static displays and enjoy all of the different activities in the air just while you're standing, there's no charge for that. And parking is free. But there is an option and an opportunity to raise your enjoyment experience by getting either some box seats or perhaps getting even the ultimate package, which unfortunately has been sold out for the Saturday show, but they've still got some for the Sunday as of the date of our taping here. And that will get you not only a place right on the flight line, it will give you breakfast or brunch and some comfy seating and just an outstanding experience. And that can be had for the nominal fee of $135 per person if you're an adult, or I think $95 a person ages 5 to 12, something like that, right?
Yes, sir. So all information regarding ticketing can be found at BufordAirShow.com.
Okay.
And there's also an app called MCAS Buford Air Show. You can download that on the App Store, or the link is available at the website as well.
All right, you guys are amazing. And the different activities you're going to be having in a side and in addition to the Blue Angels are also really, really neat. We always love to see skydivers. And tell me a little bit about the SOCOM Paracommandos that are going to be parcel.
Yes, sir. So it's a team of special operators from all the branches, and they put on a pretty good show. Jump out of an airplane and parachute down. So
When groups like the SOCOM Paracommandos, or for that matter, the Blue Angels or the F-35 pilots are gearing up for an activity like this, I'm sure hundreds of hours must be spent into the planning process, discussing, okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do this particular square maneuver, or we're going to do this, hovering over the crowd at about 100 knots and then taking up, almost vertically. How much time is spent in advance of something that's essentially going to be maybe a half a day show?
Well, I can speak from my experience and what I see go on at the air station. And there's a countdown clock that begins the day after the air show ends 2 years before.
Wow.
So there's a lot that goes into it. We're constantly planning, constantly trying to iron out the kinks and improve on each year's air show. And so this year should be the best one yet.
Mm-hmm. Okay, this is at least the 10th air show that I'm aware of, having been here for however long I've been. There, I think, was 1 year when you took off the anticipated year, maybe because of the budgeting issues that were taking place at the time. But by and large, typically you arrive every couple of years, as you said, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Aside from the Paracommandos and the Blue Angels, we're also going to have, I was saying before we started the program, there's this urban legend about this car that you strapped a jet engine on, and out in the desert, it got up to 400 miles an hour. And I mean, it really made for great reading, but then turned out it was nothing more than an urban legend. But you're bringing this urban legend to life, aren't you?
Sir.
What are you going to have?
It's called the Smoke and Thunder jet truck. Essentially, it's just what you described. It's a semi truck essentially with a jet engine on it. And it gets up to, what did you say?
I think 350 is what your information said here. Maybe I'll find it in a second here. But you actually will be going head to head with a plane, right?
Sir.
On the runway.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So that's going to be one of the spectacles that everyone gets excited about, especially the kids. They'll be able to participate in it and see it. There's a kid zone there as well.
Yep.
For the parents bringing the children along.
350 plus miles an hour. Yeah.
Sure.
I'm looking forward to that one. That is going to be awesome. And then for the people who have a nostalgic, bone in them, you've got some P-51 Quicksilver, the resurrected veteran. According to this, a fellow by the name of Bill Yoke is the fellow that has done all the metal work on this Quicksilver P-51. And he is going to be out there with his display. And then Scott Scooter Yoke is got to be related to him in some fashion, or maybe that is him. He's got he's a P-51 Mustang pilot, and he started that at age 19, and he's going to be doing some low-level acrobatic maneuvers, and those are always fun, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're all looking forward to that. And as you said, if people are interested in knowing more about this, you've got the BeaufortAirShow.com website that people can attend, visit, and purchase some additional tickets, box seating, or the frontline option if they want to really make a day of it. And I just thank you guys for everything that you do in service to our country and service to our community. And although I'm not a Marine per se, I'll just say Semper Fi to both of you guys. Thank you guys for joining us and sharing with our audience today about the upcoming Beaufort Air Show that is going to be the weekend of April 27th and 28th. Our guests have been Lieutenant Kevin Buss, who is with the Marine Corps Air Station's Public Information Office, or Comstrat, and Captain Frank Zastapil, who is an F-35 pilot, and you will see him on the ground and in the air if you come on out. And we look forward to that. Next month, we're going to be having Health and Wellness Week and Month. And if you have been having problems with pollen, I'm sure most of us have. It seems to be everywhere. Green stuff on the cars. You're not going to want to miss this, because we're going to be talking about what you can do about your allergies. We hope you'll join us on the next edition of Coastline.